Hello. Ashley, is that making a noise? I don't know if there's a humming noise. Let me turn this off. In New Zealand, it's quite common to use a dehumidifier in your house. Maybe that's the same in other countries. But certainly the winters here are very damp. Not super cold, actually pretty mild, but very, very damp. And so houses can get moldy unless you're constantly trying to keep airflow or dehumidify the space. Anyway, today, you look at this album here, Ween, and the album is Chocolate and Cheese, which is the only Ween album I own. Ween is a band I've listened to. Actually, I kind of have a formative, or a couple of formative memories of Ween in my younger years of discovering music. In the mid-90s, kind of at the height of alternative rock, kind of grunge, 93, 94, a independent music TV channel started up in my city in Auckland, New Zealand, called Max TV. And you could pick it up if you had a UHF aerial, I think. Regardless, it was free to air. But old TVs couldn't get it. But when my parents bought a new TV, nowadays when you buy a new TV, it's kind of like nothing, because TVs, like most of those kind of consumer electronics, are so much cheaper than they used to be, because they were kind of, in the old days, you bought a TV and you kept it for like 20 years, whereas now things like TVs and laptops and things like that, they're kind of like you expect them to have quite a limited lifespan, But anyway, my parents bought a new TV, a big TV for the living room, and also a mini, smaller TV for downstairs where the kids like me used to hang out. And we tuned it. I can actually remember happening. They tuned in Max. He used to have to manually tune. You would push the button, it would scan through the channels with the aerial, and then would lock onto a channel, and you would save it. Well, that was my memory at least. And one of the channels that came up was that music channel, Max TV. And I remember it. The first music video I have a memory of seeing on Max TV was Push the Little Daisies by Ween. And so whenever I hear, or especially see that video, but hear that song as well, it reminds me of being about 13 and having my first access to music TV. And that music channel was really important in my life as a teenager, because I discovered so much music through it. They played a lot of pop shit as well, but they also had like alternative shows and metal shows and punk shows and all sorts of different things. So very important in my kind of journey of discovering music as a young lad. The other formative memory of Ween is that album cover. I remember seeing it in the music shop a few times, and for a young, teenage boy, it's eye-catching. Even now, it's quite eye-catching. And I remember it being in the CD shop, sound CD shop or music shop or HMV or the different ones we used to have. And all I knew about Ween was Push the Little Daisies. I just thought, that's the Push the Little Daisies song, the Push the Little Daisies band. Then gradually over the years, I discovered more. I think the second song I heard was Freedom of 76, because there was a video for that as well. And then other bits and pieces. And then it would have been in my late teens when I got into download, the Napster age. I downloaded a lot of Ween, and that's when I really got into Ween and heard beyond the kind of video singles. And I'd say I've been a Ween fan for the best part of, 30 years, and certainly more deeply into their catalogue over the last 15 to 20 years, 25 years. But I only own one of their CDs. I used to own the Mollusk. And I think the Mollusk is probably my favorite album of theirs. But it was sold when I sold most of my CDs about 16 years ago, before I moved overseas. And so I bought this secondhand in the last 4 years, and I was really shocked to find this secondhand. It was only 50 cents. The condition is what I would say is good. good to fair, not great. It certainly looks used, but the most important thing is the disc plays through no problems. It has no major scratches on it. It actually looks very good, doesn't it? And the CD booklet's also in good condition. A little bit scuffed up, but nothing major. For 50 cents, really is pretty amazing. In 1994, this came out on Mushroom Records and Elektra Entertainment and Mushroom, and White. So they were kind of one of those bands that got swept up in the alternative rock signing frenzy, where after kind of Nirvana and Pearl Jam and some of those other bands sold millions, tens of millions of albums, record companies went around signing anything that was even vaguely similar to those bands, like what the fun is at the top of my fucking tongue? I can't think of what they're called. I saw them in concert. My God, I've noticed my memory is like slowly going. What's the name of that band? The Melvins. Jesus Christ. I saw them in concert in March of this year. The Melvins are kind of one of the famous ones that they were signed kind of just for the fact that they were friends with Kurt Cobain, and they kind of, those two bands intermingled a lot in the 80s, and some would say even Buzz Osborne was kind of responsible for Kurt Cobain getting into punk and stuff like that. And other bands as well that were kind of just signed just because they were of that ilk, very vaguely. But if you listen to Ween, they sound nothing at all like anything really, but they certainly don't sound anything like Pearl Jam or the Smashing Pumpkins or Stone Temple Pilots. I've never really kind of understood Ween fully, because for a long time it almost seemed like they were a joke band or a novelty band, in that they cross so many genres even in the same album. They sound like, you'll have like country songs and psychedelic songs and Irish kind of like sea shanty type things and electronic flavored thing, and then kind of soul music and everything in between. So there's Ween, which is basically Dean and Gene. That is Gene. No. Yes. And that is Dean. They look quite similar in those pictures, but when you see them in... Oh, here we go. Here's other pictures here. Can you hear that banging? The washing machine's going into the house and it's vibrating the door. Actually, I'm going to open that so it stops. It's a little annoying. So that's Dean on the right, the taller, whose real name's Mikey, was it Macchiato or Macchiato or something like that? And then Gene Ween is Aaron Freeman. So they're not actually brothers, but they only portrayed brothers. So this album, Chocolate and Cheese, I don't know, what would you say is like kind of the classic Ween album? I don't know. I think a lot of people do consider the Mollusk to be, or White Pepper. I've heard some people think that is as well, or that country one, the 12 country songs. I can't remember the name of the album. I don't know. Because I'm more familiar of kind of pure guava, chocolate and cheese, Mollusk, that kind of 90s era Ween I'm more familiar with than their later stuff. So as for this album, I think it's a great Ween album. There's no track listing on the back, is there? Why did I put it back? So we go through and see what songs are on this album. So we got Take Me Away. So how would you describe that? That's kind of like almost like a lounge song. Spinal Meningitis. I never liked that song. No, I don't like the song. Meningitis is something that scares me. I had a friend that died of meningitis when we were teenagers, and meningitis has always been kind of a problem in New Zealand, and it's such a kind of awful disease. It can kill you in like 24 hours, and it always kind of scared me. So even the thought of singing about meningitis never sat right with me. Freedom 76 I talked about. Can't put my finger on. So Freedom 76 is kind of like a soul kind of, I don't even really know how to describe it, kind of like a soul type song. They're singing about a lot of Philadelphia references, I think. And meanings, the Freedom 76, I think they mean is 1776. They talk about the Liberty Bell, and Mannequin was filmed at Woolworths. I think they mean the movie Mannequin. I can't put my finger on it. It's kind of like a weird... See, I'm trying to like describe each one by genre, but I didn't really know. They didn't really have genres, a lot of these. Mr. Would You Please Help My Pony? Mr. Would You Please Help My Pony? That one's kind of a weird song as well. Voodoo Lady. Me and my son were just listening to that the other day. He really likes the song Voodoo Lady because I think he likes the part goes... The part goes boogie oogie 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 boogie oogie oogie oogie. That one, he likes that part. Buenas tardes, amigo. I'm just going to name the songs here. I think this album is a good introduction and example of what Ween are, because it does cover all the genres, like a lot of other albums do, and gives examples of what they're capable of and the kind of humor or topics they would sing about, the brownness that they often reference, being in the brown. Don't really know what that is either, to be honest. I wouldn't say I'm really that deeply into Ween lore. Like, I think Ween have got a lot of kind of really hardcore fans that follow them around and tour and know the stories behind the songs, and there's kind of characters that come up in some of the songs, and like I said, that concept of brown and brown sound and other things. But maybe you know what I'm talking about if you've kind of delved into Ween a little bit. And that's the CD. Pulling the finger. There's not much else I can really say about it. It's just it's quite a striking album artwork, isn't it? Got the belt with the Ween logo that they still use nowadays. Ween. And then you got the girl with her boobs covered by some sort of, I don't know, what crop top, I guess you call them. And you would assume nothing below that, because nothing below the belt, because on the back you can see a butt crack, which would assume that she's not wearing any underpants. It's like a wrestling belt almost, isn't it? Or like a boxing championship belt. So yeah, one of the albums that year, or not even the album, but also bands that featured in my youth. And if I was to recommend one song, and maybe this is a bit of a cliched song to recommend, but I think the greatest song they've ever written, and my favorite song by them, is Mutilated Lips, which is on the Mollusk album. And everything about that song is kind of perfect. Like the production, the songwriting, the guitar solo, the lyrics, the kind of weird effect they do on the vocals, the kind of in and out, the kind of the metaphor they're using for mutilated lips. There's everything. Kind of I'd say that song would maybe be maybe my top 20 songs of all time. Certainly one of my most listened to songs, even now. How it came out in 97, I think. I think I first heard it around 99, and I've listened to that song consistently without ever getting sick of it for 25 years. Anyway, we'll keep it there. Short and sweet. Ween. Chocolate and cheese. See you later.